The billionaire YouTuber gave shelter to two homeless elderly on the street. But when he discovered their past, he was in total shock. I was filming a challenge video on the street when I saw my housekeeper giving money and food to two homeless elderly people. I was furious because that was my money that I paid her. I fired her on the spot. But what I didn't know was that those two elderly people were hiding a secret that would change my life forever. A secret involving millions of dollars. A secret about my own past. And you won't believe when you find out who they really were. It's 7 in the morning when Martha Silva, my 52-year-old housekeeper, arrives at the mansion like she always does for 3 years. She's a simple, humble woman who works hard to support her 2 children alone after her husband died in a car accident 5 years ago. I'm Lucas Miller, better known as Lucky, a 28-year-old YouTuber with 15 million subscribers who makes extreme challenge videos, pranks, and fake donations to get views. I live in a $20 million mansion in Beverly Hills, have 6 imported cars, and make over $1 million per month just from advertising. Martha is my only employee because I don't like too many people in my house. I prefer privacy to film my videos without anyone bothering me. Good morning, Martha. She enters through the back door as always. Good morning, Lucas. Coffee's ready. I already left it on the table for you. Martha is efficient, organized, and never gives me trouble. That's why I've kept her for so long. Today I'm gonna film a new street challenge video like those that get tons of views. I'm gonna pretend to be homeless for 24 hours to see how people react. This type of content always goes viral because people love seeing rich pretending to be poor. It's like poverty porn, but it works, so I do it. I dress in old torn clothes I bought at a costume store, put on makeup to look dirty, grab a cardboard sign that says, "Need help." Anything helps. God bless. I call my cameraman Rodrigo, who's been my video partner for 5 years. Let's go. Rodrigo, today, we're gonna kill it on views. Cool, boss. Where we filming? Downtown. Where there's more movement, the more people the better for the video to blow up. We take an Uber downtown because, obviously, I'm not gonna leave my Lamborghini parked there, man. They'd steal it in a second. We arrive at a busy corner near the subway station. Rodrigo hides with the disguised camera so nobody notices he's filming. I sit on the ground leaning against the wall, holding my sign, looking as miserable as possible. People pass, and most completely ignore some throw coins in the cup I placed in front. One woman stops and asks, "Are you okay? Do you need something?" I respond with a weak voice. "I'm hungry, haven't eaten anything in 3 days." She opens her purse and gives me $20 saying, "Buy something to eat, okay?" I thank her all dramatic and she walks away. Rodrigo is filming everything hidden. This part will be great in editing. I'll put sad background music, people will love it. After 2 hours sitting there pretending to be homeless, it's time to leave because I already have enough material for the video. I get up, shake off the fake dust from my clothes. Rodrigo comes out of hiding, putting the camera away. Let's get out of here. I'm tired of this nonsense. We're heading toward the main street to get an Uber when I see a scene that leaves me completely shocked. Martha. My housekeeper is there on the corner talking to 2 elderly people who are clearly homeless. They're sitting on the ground, dirty, poorly dressed, looking like they haven't eaten in days. Martha opens her purse and takes out a bunch of bills, giving them to both. Then she takes food containers from the bag she was carrying and hands them over too. The 2 elderly people thank her with tears in their eyes, grabbing the food desperately. "Rodrigo, you seeing this?" I point discreetly. "What, boss?" "Martha, my housekeeper, is there, giving money and food to homeless people. So what's the problem?" "The problem is that money is mine, man. I pay her salary and she's playing social worker with the money I give her. Film that I'm gonna use it in the video, but boss isn't that kinda heavy. Just film before she leaves." Rodrigo starts filming discreetly while Martha continues talking to the 2 elderly people. She seems to know them because she's talking like a friend. It's not the first time she's helped them. After about 10 minutes, she says goodbye and leaves. The 2 elderly people stay there eating the food container she gave. I watch them with anger growing inside me. How dare she do charity with my money without asking permission? I pay her a salary to work at my house, not to go around distributing money. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna have a serious talk with her about this. The next day Martha arrives on time as always, all smiling, not knowing the scolding she's about to get. "Good morning, Lucas. Martha, come here to the living room. I need to talk to you now." She enters the room kinda worried because I never speak with this serious tone. "Did something happen? Lucas. Did I do something wrong? Sit down, I'm gonna show you something." I open the laptop and show her the video. Rodrigo filmed yesterday. She goes pale, watching the images of her giving money and food to the homeless people. "Can you explain to me what this is?" I can explain, yes. Then explain, because I'm very curious to know why you're donating the money I pay you. Martha takes a deep breath before starting to explain. Those two elderly people are Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire. They've been living on the street for over 10 years. I've known them since I started working here, because I pass by them every day at the bus stop. They're good people who had a difficult life and ended up on the street because of problems I won't go into details. I can't stand seeing them starving, so from time to time I give them a little money and food when I can. Very nice, really, your story, but you didn't understand the point. The money you give them is mine, not yours. I work and earn this money. You just redistribute it without authorization, Lucas. With all due respect, the money you pay me becomes mine when I receive it. I can do whatever I want with my salary. Technically you're right, but morally you're wrong. How am I morally wrong? Because you should save that money for you and your family, not keep supporting homeless people on the street. Martha looks at me with a disappointed expression I'd never seen before. Lucas, I've always respected you. Always did my work properly. Never gave you problems. But now I'm seeing who you really are. A person who has no empathy for those who are suffering. These two elderly people you call homeless are human beings who deserve dignity. If I can help with a little bit of my money, I will do it, yes. And if you don't like it, you can fire me now. You know that was exactly what I was gonna do, right? Fire you? Martha is shocked. Seriously, you're gonna fire me because I helped two people? I'm not gonna fire you because you helped. I'm gonna fire you because you used resources that come from me to fund your charity without asking authorization. Besides, I don't want an employee who goes against my values. Your values of not helping anyone. Exactly those same ones. You can get your things and leave. Today is your last day. Martha gets up from the chair with tears in her eyes. Okay, Lucas, I'll leave. But before I go, I want to tell you something. One day you'll need someone's help, and you'll discover firsthand how horrible it is to have nobody. I hope when that day comes, you remember this conversation. She grabs her purse and leaves the mansion, slamming the door. I sit there without feeling any remorse. Screw her. I'll find another housekeeper in 2 days. There's tons of people needing jobs. In the following days, I continue my normal routine, filming videos, editing, doing lives. I hired a new housekeeper named Sandra, who's efficient and doesn't go around doing charity, so everything's fine. But something strange starts happening. Every time I pass by that place where I saw the two elderly people, they're there. And every time they see me, they keep looking at me with a strange expression. It's not anger, it's not sadness, it's like disappointment or pity. This bothers me a lot, but I ignore it because homeless people shouldn't be judging anyone. 2 weeks after firing Martha, I'm filming another video on the street. This time it's a challenge of buying everything a person asks for in the store in 60 seconds. I call random people from the street and take them to a small market. It's easy content that always gets views because people love seeing folks getting free stuff. I'm in the middle of filming when I see the two elderly people again. They're sitting on the corner near the market. A genius idea goes through my head. What if I call them for the challenge? Imagine their reaction when they win a bunch of free food. This will go viral for sure. People love seeing success stories and homeless people getting stuff. I approach the two elderly people with Rodrigo filming everything. Hi, how are you guys? They look at me kinda suspicious. Mr. Manuel, who must be about 70 years old, responds. Good afternoon, young man. Look, I'm a YouTuber doing a challenge here. You guys want to participate? Mrs. Claire, who's also about 70, asks, what kind of challenge? It's simple. You'll have 60 seconds to grab everything you want in that market there. Everything you grab, I'll pay for. Is this for real? Super real. It's for a video on my channel. You guys in? The two look at each other, kinda not believing. Mr. Manuel asks, why do you want to do this for us specifically? Because I saw you guys here and thought it would be cool to give this opportunity. You deserve it. Mrs. Claire responds with an emotional voice. That's very kind of you, young man. But we don't want to be used as entertainment. I try to convince them. It's not using as entertainment. It's helping you guys, and at the same time making cool content. Everybody wins. Mr. Manuel slowly gets up, supporting himself on his hands because his legs are weak. Look here, young man. Me and Claire, we've lived a lot in this life. We've had everything and lost everything. We know when someone wants to truly help and when someone just wants to make a show. You don't give a damn about us. You just want views on your video. Use our misery to make money. It's not quite like that. It's exactly like that. Yes, and you know what? We don't need your fake charity. Martha always helped us without wanting anything in return. She's truly good people. You don't come close. I get irritated by the unexpected response. Look, I'm offering free food to you guys and you're being proud. Not proud, young man. We just don't want to be clowns in your circus. But you're homeless. How can you refuse free food? Mrs. Claire gets up too and speaks with dignity I didn't expect. We may be poor, young man, but we have dignity. I'd rather starve than be used. And another thing, you should be ashamed of firing Martha just because she has a good heart. She told us everything. You're a rich man without any heart. I give a sarcastic laugh. Look at that. The philosopher homeless giving me a moral lesson. Stay there with your dignity than starving. Let's go, Rodrigo. These people don't deserve help. We leave and I'm very irritated. Who do these old people think they are to judge me? I'm the one offering help, and they refuse with stupid pride. But one thing Mrs. Claire said keeps hammering in my head. You should be ashamed of firing Martha. Why should I be ashamed? I'm the boss, I do what I want. 2 weeks go by and my life continues normal. I film videos, make money, buy expensive things, but there's something different. The videos aren't performing as well as before. Views dropped about 20%. Comments are kinda lukewarm. I read some negative comments. This guy only makes fake videos to get views. He doesn't really help anyone, it's all staged. I preferred when YouTubers were genuine, not all this fakeness. I'm bothered because I never cared about comments, but this time it's affecting me. One day, I'm driving through the area where I always see the two elderly people. It's a heavy rainy day and it's cold. I see them under a marquee trying to protect themselves from the rain. They're soaked, shivering from cold. I stop the car and keep watching through the window. Part of me wants to go there and help, but my pride won't let me. Those old people humiliated me by refusing my help in front of the camera. Screw them. I accelerate and leave, but the image of them shivering from cold stays in my head. That night I can't sleep. I keep thinking about the two elderly people in the rain, about Martha who I fired, about the negative comments on the channel. Something inside me is bothering and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's conscience, but I never cared about that before, so it doesn't make sense. At dawn, I grab my phone and search about the two elderly people. I type homeless downtown couple elderly. I find an old newspaper article from 12 years ago. The title is, Business People Lose Everything in Financial Scam and End Up on Street. I read the article with growing attention. Manuel Oliveira and Claire Oliveira were owners of a construction company that made millions per year. They had a comfortable life, big house, imported cars, international trips. But in 2014, they were victims of an elaborate financial scam. A partner they trusted embezzled all the company's money and fled abroad. The company went bankrupt. Debts piled up. They lost everything. The house was taken by the bank. The cars were sold to pay debts. Without money, without house, without anything. They ended up living on the street. They tried to start over, but advanced age and lack of opportunities kept them in the vulnerable situation. I read that, and I'm shocked. Those two elderly people I saw as simple homeless were once successful business people like me. They lost everything not because of incompetence, but because they trusted the wrong person. And now they've been living on the street for over 10 years. The article ends saying the couple always maintained dignity, even in misery, never begging. Always only accepting help from those who offered spontaneously. That's why I understand now why they refused my fake challenge. They know the difference between real help and exploitation. The next day, I wake up with a decision made. I'm gonna look for the two elderly people, and I'm gonna help them for real, without camera, without video, without anything, just because it's the right thing to do. I leave home without telling anyone. I don't even take Rodrigo. I arrive at the place where I always see them, but they're not there. I ask other homeless people if they saw Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire. One gentleman tells me they were taken to the municipal hospital because Mrs. Claire got sick during the night. I run to the municipal hospital that's about 3 kilometers away. I arrive at the emergency, sweaty, breathless. I ask at reception about Claire Oliveira. The attendant checks the system. She was admitted this morning with severe pneumonia. She's hospitalized in the ward. Can I see her? Only family can visit at the moment. I'm her nephew, please. I need to see how she is. The attendant hesitates but gives me a visitor authorization. I go to the ward following the signs. I find Mr. Manuel sitting on a hallway bench with his head in his hands. Mr. Manuel, though, I approach slowly. He lifts his head and recognizes me immediately. What are you doing here? I came to know how Mrs. Claire is. He looks at me with distrust. Why do you care? Because I was wrong about you guys. Really wrong. I only thought about myself, about my videos, about my money. I didn't see you guys as people. I saw you as content. I'm sorry for that. And I came to help if you'll let me. Help how? Paying for Mrs. Claire's treatment, giving you guys a house to live in, doing whatever's necessary. Mr. Manuel stays silent, processing what I said. Why did you change your mind so suddenly? Because I discovered who you guys were before losing everything. I read about the scam you suffered, about how you were successful business people. And I realized I could easily be you guys if someone scammed me, if I lost everything. You don't deserve to live on the street. You deserve dignity. He wipes a tear that falls. Thank you, young man. But we can't pay you back. I don't want you to pay back. I don't want anything in return. I just want to do what's right. The doctor comes out of Mrs. Claire's room and calls Mr. Manuel. Mr. Oliveira. The doctor comes to us. Your wife's situation is delicate. She has severe bacterial pneumonia, plus severe malnutrition, plus hypothermia. Her body is very weakened by years of exposure to cold and poor nutrition. We'll do our best. But she needs to stay hospitalized at least 2 weeks with powerful antibiotics and nutritional support. The problem is, the public system is crowded, and the waiting list for a hospital bed is long. How much does private hospitalization cost, I ask? The doctor looks at me surprised. Depends on the hospital, but should be around $15,000 to $20,000 for 2 weeks. I take my credit card from my wallet. Hospitalize her in the best private hospital available now. I'll do the immediate transfer to whatever hospital you indicate. The doctor is speechless. Are you sure, sir? Totally make the transfer. I'll authorize it, Mr. Manuel grabs me by the arm. You don't need to do this, boy. I know I don't need to, but I want to. You guys will have the best treatment possible. The doctor makes some calls and gets a bed at Cedars-Sinai, one of the best in Los Angeles. The ambulance will transfer her in an hour. I pay all the hospitalization in advance through my phone. It's $23,000, Mr. Manuel cries copiously with gratitude. I don't know how to thank you for this, boy. You don't need to thank, just take good care of her. But there's one thing I want to ask. Whatever it is, while she's hospitalized, you're not going to sleep on the street. I'm going to put you in a hotel near the hospital so you can visit her every day and sleep in a decent place. He tries to refuse, but I insist. Please let me do this. Okay, I accept. In the following 2 weeks, I visit Mrs. Claire at the hospital every day. I bring fruits, flowers, books. I talk to Mr. Manuel about their life before the scam. He tells me incredible stories about when they were young, about how they built the company from scratch, about how happy they were. They had an only son who died in a motorcycle accident at 25. After that, it was just the two of them. When they lost everything they had, nobody left to turn to. Relatives had distanced themselves. Friends disappeared. They learned that in prosperity, everyone's a friend. But in adversity, you discover who really cares. Mrs. Claire gradually recovers. On the 10th day, she's already conscious, talking. When she sees me enter the room, she smiles weakly. You're the boy from the video we refused, I am. Yes, Mrs. Claire. I came to apologize for the way I treated you guys. She makes a gesture with her hand. You don't need to apologize, young man. You were just doing your job the way you knew. But I was wrong. The work I do exploits others' misery for entertainment. That's not right. She responds with wisdom. Sometimes we need to fall to learn to get up right. You fell, and you're getting up different now. On the 14th day, Mrs. Claire gets hospital discharge. She's completely recovered, gained weight, has color back in her face. But now comes the next step. I'm not going to let them go back to the street. I bought a small 2-bedroom apartment in a simple but safe neighborhood. I furnished everything, left the fridge full. When I take them there, they can't believe it. This here is for us to live in. It's yours. The apartment is in your names. I did the deed. It's all legalized. Mr. Manuel falls to his knees crying. Mrs. Claire also cries. They hug me. The three of us stay there crying together. After getting them settled in the apartment, I go back to my mansion. For the first time in years, I feel good about myself. It's not for the views. It's not for the money. It's for having done something genuinely good. That night, I call Martha, my ex-housekeeper. She answers, kinda surprised. Lucas. Hi, Martha. I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need to apologize. Apologize for what? For having fired you, for having been insensitive, for not having understood you were doing the right thing. There's silence on the other end. Then she asks, what made you change? I helped Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire. I paid for her pneumonia treatment, gave them an apartment to live in. And in the process, I understood what you tried to teach me. That money is worth nothing if you don't use it to help those who need it. She starts crying on the other end of the line. I knew you had a good heart, Lucas. It was just hidden under all that ego. Thank you for helping them. I wanted to offer you your job back with a 50% salary increase if you want. I accept, Lucas. I do accept. Martha comes back to work for me the following week. But now our relationship is different. There's mutual respect. There's admiration. She tells me her children cried with happiness when they found out she was going to work for me again. I decide to do something I've never done before. I'm going to completely change my channel content. I don't want to make videos exploiting poverty anymore, or doing fake challenges. I want to make content that actually helps people. I post a video telling the whole story of Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire without showing their faces to preserve privacy. I tell how they were successful business people, how they lost everything, how they ended up on the street. I tell how Martha taught me about empathy, how I changed my perspective, and I announce I'm going to use half the channel's revenue to help homeless people in the city. The video goes viral in a way that never happened before. 5 million views in 2 days. The comments are all positive. Finally, a real YouTuber. This is content worth watching. Congratulations on the change, you're an example. In the following months, I create a social project called Second Chance. The goal is to find homeless people who want to restart their lives and give all necessary support. Temporary housing, professional course, help getting a job. In 6 months, we get 23 people off the streets. In 1 year, it's 67 people. The project becomes a national reference in homeless reintegration. Other YouTubers start copying the idea, creating their own social projects. I realize my change generated a wave of change in other people. Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire become volunteers for the project. They help other homeless people, telling their story, giving hope. They say that after receiving help, they want to give back by helping others. I see in them a strength, a dignity I didn't see before. Or maybe I couldn't see because I was blind from my ego. One day Mr. Manuel calls me to talk privately. Lucas, there's something we never told you. What is it, Mr. Manuel? When we had the construction company, we built a commercial building downtown that we never sold. It stayed rented to various companies for years, generating income. When we went bankrupt, the bank took everything. Or at least, that's what we thought, he continues. But recently I looked for a lawyer to see if there was any asset that wasn't taken. And we discovered that building was never officially transferred to the bank due to a registry office error. Legally, it's still ours. But it's illegally occupied by companies that haven't paid rent for 10 years. The lawyer said if we file a repossession lawsuit, we can recover the building. And if we recover, it could be worth about $8 million. I'm shocked by the news. 8 million. But then you guys didn't need my help. You're rich. No, Lucas. We're not rich yet. The repossession process can take years and costs a lot in lawyers. We don't have a way to afford this. Even living in the apartment you gave, we live on minimum retirement, which is just minimum wage. I have an immediate idea. I'll finance the entire legal process. We'll file the lawsuit, recover the building, sell it, and split the money 50-50. Mr. Manuel refuses right away. No, Lucas, you've already done too much for us. We won't accept more. I insist. It's not charity, it's investment. I put in the money for you guys to recover what's rightfully yours. And when we sell, you pay me back what I invested plus half the profit. It's a fair deal. After much talking, they accept. I hire the best lawyers in Los Angeles. The process really drags on for months. There are hearings, judicial expert evaluations. It's complicated. But after 8 months, we get the repossession order. The building legally goes back in their names. We do a complete renovation, spending another $1 million. We put the building up for sale for $10 million. In 3 months, a buyer appears offering $9.5 million. We close the deal, after paying all old debts back. Taxes, lawyers, and renovation. There's $6.5 million left. Following our agreement, I receive $3,250,000. They keep $3,250,000. It's enough money for them to live comfortably the rest of their lives. Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire cry when they receive the amount in their account. After 12 years living on the street, they return to having financial security. But most importantly, they didn't change anything in their way of being. They remain humble, simple, helping others. They use part of the money to create a foundation that helps other homeless people. The Fresh Start Foundation that works together with my Second Chance project. The whole story is told in a documentary I produce for the channel. The documentary shows everything from the day I fired Martha to the building sale. It shows my transformation as a person, how I learned about empathy, about using money to do good. The documentary is 45 minutes and goes viral internationally. It's translated into 12 languages, shown at film festivals, wins awards. Suddenly, I stop being just an entertainment YouTuber and become a reference in social responsibility. 3 years after the day I fired Martha, my life is completely different. My channel now has 25 million subscribers. But the content changed radically. I make documentaries about social causes, series about people who overcame difficulties, educational videos about how to help needy communities. I keep making a lot of money, but now half goes to social projects. The Second Chance Project has gotten over 300 people off the streets. The Fresh Start Foundation serves over 500 families per month. Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire became like grandparents to me. We have dinner together every week. They give me advice about life, about humility, about gratitude. Martha keeps working for me, but now she's also coordinator of the social project, earning a decent salary for it. Her children got into university with scholarships and are graduating. Everything changed because one day I decided to stop exploiting others' misery and started actually helping. I'm in the office editing a new video when I get a call from Mr. Manuel. Hi, Mr. Manuel, how are you? Lucas. There's something me and Claire want to tell you personally. Can you come to our house? Sure, I'll come now. I go to their apartment, which is now a bigger house they bought in a fancy neighborhood. I ring the doorbell, and Mrs. Claire opens with a huge smile. Come in, Lucas. I enter, and see Mr. Manuel sitting in the living room with an old photo album open in his lap. Sit here, Lucas, Mr. Manuel calls me. I sit next to him. There's something we never told you because it was too painful. About your son who died, not just about him. Mr. Manuel turns a page in the album and shows me a photo of a baby. This here is our grandson. Grandson. I didn't know you had a grandson. We do, yes. He was born 2 years before we lost everything. At the time, our son was married to a girl we didn't approve of. We thought she was a gold digger who only wanted our money. When our son died in the motorcycle accident, she disappeared, taking our grandson. We tried to look for her, but she changed cities, changed name. We never got contact again. Mrs. Claire continues the story with tears in her eyes. When we lost everything and went to live on the street, we tried again to find her and our grandson. We wanted to at least know if he was okay. But it was impossible without resources. Without money, we couldn't track her. Over 10 years passed and we thought we'd never know about him again. Until last week we got a phone call. It was him, our grandson. How did he find you guys? He saw us in the documentary you made. He recognized us from old photos that appeared. He looked for us and discovered where we live. Mr. Manuel turns another page and shows me a recent photo of a guy about 25 years old. This is him. This is Lucas, our grandson. I look at the photo and there's something familiar in that face, but I can't identify what. He lives here in LA, works as a graphic designer. His mother died 3 years ago from cancer before dying. She told him the whole truth about our family. He grew up thinking we had abandoned him, that we were bad people. But his mother confessed it was her who pushed him away from us out of pride, out of resentment, because she thought we despised her. Now he wants to meet us, wants to recover lost time, Mrs. Claire speaks emotionally. And we wanted you to meet him too, because you were like a grandson to us these last years. I get very emotional about that. It'll be an honor to meet him. When can I? Tomorrow he's coming for dinner here, you can come too. For sure I'll come. The next day I arrive at their house at 7 at night, as agreed. I ring the doorbell and Mr. Manuel opens. Come in, Lucas, he already arrived, he's inside. I enter the living room, and when I see the guy sitting on the couch, I almost fall backwards from shock. It's Rodrigo, my cameraman, my video partner for 5 years. Rodrigo gets up and looks at me, equally shocked. Lucas, Rodrigo, we say together, not believing. You guys know each other, Mr. Manuel asks, confused. He's my cameraman. We've worked together for 5 years. Rodrigo stammers, still in shock. You're the Lucas my grandparents talk so much about. I am. Man. We stay a few minutes just looking at each other, processing the absurd coincidence. Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire are confused, not understanding. Let me explain. I start. Rodrigo's been my employee since I started the channel 5 years ago. He always used his mother's last name, that's why I never made the connection. What's your full name, Rodrigo? Rodrigo Oliveira Martinez. Oliveira was my father's last name. Son of your son. Exactly. Rodrigo looks at me, still processing. You were the person who helped my grandparents, who got them off the street, who paid for the hospital. I was... Yes. And you never told me why. Because you were always very reserved about your personal life, never talked about family. I thought you had your reasons. Rodrigo sits down again because his legs aren't holding up, man. For the last 3 years I worked with you, filmed your entire transformation, saw you become a better person. And the whole time you were helping my grandparents without knowing they were my grandparents. Mrs. Claire starts crying. This isn't coincidence, it's destiny. It's God bringing our family back together, Mr. Manuel also cries, hugging his grandson. You were so close to us the whole time, and we didn't even know. I'm also emotional because I understand now why I always felt a special connection with Rodrigo. It was as if we were family, even without knowing. That night we have dinner together, the five of us. Me, Rodrigo, Mr. Manuel, Mrs. Claire and Martha, who was also invited. We talk for hours about everything that happened, about the impossible coincidences. Rodrigo tells how he grew up poor, living in a poor neighborhood. His mother worked as a day laborer to support him alone. He studied in public school, struggled hard to learn filming, watching YouTube tutorials. When he met me 5 years ago, I gave him the first real opportunity to work with video. Since then, we built the channel together. He was always essential to my success. Now I understand why you always filmed emotional stories so well. It was because you truly understood what it's like to struggle to survive, I say. Rodrigo responds, I grew up watching my mother kill herself working to give me the basics. I saw her crying hidden when she didn't have money for rent. I learned early that money doesn't fall from the sky, that you gotta fight. That's why when you started changing your content to help people, I was so happy. Finally, you were using the channel's reach for something bigger. The conversation extends through dawn. We laugh, cry, tell stories. Mr. Manuel reveals he always felt something special when he met Rodrigo in the documentary, but couldn't explain what. Mrs. Claire says she dreamed several times about her grandson before he appeared, thought it was just longing. But maybe it was premonition. Martha comments she always thought me and Rodrigo seemed like brothers in the way we think and act. Everything fits together in a surreal way that seems like a movie script, but it's real life. In the following months, our relationship gets even stronger. Rodrigo starts visiting his grandparents every week. Sometimes takes his girlfriend for them to meet. Sundays became a family lunch tradition at their house. I always go. Martha also sometimes goes with her children. We became a family, not by blood, but by choice, by love, by gratitude. The channel keeps growing now with 28 million subscribers. The Second Chance project expanded to 5 Brazilian cities. The Fresh Start Foundation opened branches in 3 states. One day we're filming a new documentary about overcoming. When Rodrigo calls me to talk privately, Lucas, there's something I want to tell you. Speak, bro. I never truly thanked you for everything you did. Thank me for what? For giving me my first opportunity 5 years ago when I was a nobody with no experience, no equipment, nothing. For trusting me, for teaching me everything about video production, and especially for saving my grandparents when they needed it most. I didn't know they were your grandparents at the time, but you saved them, and that means everything to me. I get emotional with his words. Bro, you were essential to my transformation. If it weren't for you filming that day when I found Martha helping your grandparents, I would have never realized my mistakes. You were there from the beginning of this journey. Without you, the channel would be nothing. Rodrigo hugs me. We're a team, brother, always were, always will be. I hug him back. Family is this, bro. It doesn't need to be blood, it needs to be heart. 5 years after that day, I fired Martha. My life is unrecognizable. I'm 33 years old now. My channel has 35 million subscribers. The Second Chance project has helped over 1,000 people get off the streets. The Fresh Start Foundation serves over 5,000 families monthly. Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire are 78 years old. Healthy, happy, surrounded by love. Rodrigo married his girlfriend, and they just had a baby who carries Grandpa Manuel's name in honor. Martha saw her 2 children graduate college, get good jobs, build their lives. I'm on stage at a social entrepreneurship event telling my story to an audience of 3,000 people. I talk about how empty I was when I only thought about money and views. I talk about Martha, who taught me about empathy, even being unfairly fired. I talk about Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire, who taught me about dignity, even losing everything. I talk about Rodrigo, who was always by my side even when I didn't deserve it. I end the speech saying, true success isn't measured in views or money. It's measured in how many lives you touch positively. Today, I touch millions of lives, not because I'm special, but because I learned nobody wins alone. Each person we help is a seed planted of hope. And when you plant hope, you harvest transformation. The entire audience stands up applauding. I see in the back of the auditorium, Mr. Manuel, Mrs. Claire, Rodrigo with his wife, and baby Martha with her children. They're standing applauding too, with tears in their eyes. That vision moves me because I understand true wealth isn't in the mansion or imported cars. It's in those people I can call family. It's in knowing my life has purpose. It's in sleeping peacefully knowing I used my resources to do good. And so ends the story of how two homeless elderly people completely changed the life of a selfish millionaire YouTuber, transforming him into a better person, proving that sometimes those we think need help are actually the ones who will teach us the greatest lessons. That money without purpose is empty, that fame without meaning is illusion, and that true happiness comes from making a difference in other people's lives, because in the end we don't take anything from this life except the love we gave and the good we did. And that's the only inheritance that truly matters. The only thing that remains when everything else disappears. The legacy of having transformed pain into hope, misery into dignity, and selfishness into unconditional love. But the story doesn't end there. There's much more that happened that you need to know to understand everything completely. Because 6 months after that emotional speech, something happened that nobody expected that would change everything again. I was in the office recording a podcast about social entrepreneurship when I got a call from an unknown number. Usually I don't answer strange numbers, but something told me to answer this time. Hello, Lucas Miller. Yes, this is him who's speaking. My name is Robert Harris. I'm a lawyer specialized in successions and inheritances. I have very important information about your past that could change your life. I get confused because I don't understand what he's talking about. What information about my past? I prefer not to speak by phone. Could you come to my office tomorrow morning? It's very urgent and very serious. I hesitate but agree. Okay, what's the address? He gives me the address of an office in West Hollywood I schedule for 10 in the morning the next day. I hang up intrigued but don't give it much importance because I think it's some scam or prank. I comment to Rodrigo, who was with me. Man, I just got a weird call from a lawyer saying he has information about my past. Weird indeed, must be a scam. That's what I think too. But I'll go there tomorrow just to check if it's nothing, at least it makes content for the channel. The next day I wake up early, go to the address the lawyer gave. It's an elegant commercial building in the heart of West Hollywood. I go up to the 10th floor where Harris and Associates' office is. The receptionist receives me all formal. Good morning, do you have an appointment, sir? I do, yes, I'm Lucas Miller. I came to speak with Dr. Robert, 1 moment please. She calls the internal line. Dr. Harris, Mr. Lucas Miller has arrived, you can send him in. The receptionist leads me to a large room with a bookshelf of law books, mahogany desk, and a man about 60 years old in an impeccable suit. Mr. Lucas, welcome, please sit down. I sit kinda distrustful still. Thank you, doctor. You said you have information about my past. Yes, I do, and it's information that will shock you quite a bit. You can speak. I'm prepared. Dr. Robert opens a thick folder on top of the desk. You were adopted when you were 2 years old, correct? Yes, my adoptive parents died in a car accident when I was 17. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you. But what does this have to do with anything? It has everything to do because I represent your biological family. I'm paralyzed, unable to process what I just heard. My biological family. Yes, exactly. Do you know who my biological parents are? No. I never knew, never looked to know. Because to me, my parents were the ones who raised me. I understand perfectly. But your biological mother passed away 3 months ago and left a will. Will, I didn't even know she existed. She always knew where you were but never wanted to make contact out of respect for your new life. However, before dying, she left very clear instructions about what to do with her inheritance. The lawyer takes out a sealed envelope from the folder. This is the letter she left for you in case we found you. I grab the envelope with trembling hands. Can I read it now? Of course, feel free. I'll give you privacy. Dr. Robert leaves the room, leaving me alone. I open the envelope slowly with heart beating fast. Inside is a handwritten letter in delicate handwriting. I start reading with watery eyes. My dear Lucas, if you're reading this letter, it means I've already departed this world, and I can finally tell you the truth I carried for so many years. My name was Helen Martinez. I was 18 years old when I got pregnant with you. My parents were very religious and conservative. They kicked me out of the house when they found out. Your biological father was a boy I loved very much, but who died in a work accident before you were born. I was completely alone, without money, without house, without family. I spent the entire pregnancy living in shelters. When you were born, I loved you more than anything in this world. You were all I had. But I had no conditions to raise you. I had no job, no place to live, barely had food to eat. I continue reading with tears falling. I made the most difficult decision of my life. I gave you up for adoption to the Miller couple. who were good people with conditions to give you a decent life. I handed you over with my heart shattered but knowing it was best for you. During all these years I followed you from afar. I discovered your adoptive parents died when you were a teenager. I discovered you became a famous YouTuber. I watched all your videos, followed every step of your life, always with pride, but never making contact, because I didn't want to disrupt your life. I built a consulting company that grew a lot. In recent years, I accumulated a considerable fortune. The letter continues. But money never filled the void of having given you up. Regret and pain accompanied me every day, even knowing I did the right thing. Now that I'm dying of incurable cancer, I want you to have everything I built. It's not to compensate for my absence. Nothing can compensate that. It's because you're my only heir and deserve to have the comfortable life I always wanted for you. Use this money to continue doing the good I saw you do in recent years. I'm so proud of the man you became, even without my presence. I love you, my son. I always loved you and will love you for all eternity. Your mother who never stopped thinking about you, Helen. I finish reading, crying copiously. I can't hold back the emotions. A mix of sadness for never having known her, of anger, for her never having tried contact, of understanding. Because I understand she did what she thought best. Dr. Robert comes back to the room, sees me crying, and waits respectfully for me to recompose. Sorry, I say, wiping the tears, you don't need to apologize. It's a very difficult situation. What did she leave me? She left all her assets, which consist of shares in the company she founded, plus real estate, plus financial investments. Everything added up is approximately $120 million. I almost fall off the chair with the number. 120 million. Yes, it's a considerable fortune. She built a very successful business consulting company that today is worth over 200 million. Your part, as only heir, is 60% of the company, the rest she left to charity institutions. You said 60% of 200 million? Exactly, which gives 120 million, besides the real estate and investments that add up to another 30 million. In total, you'll inherit approximately $150 million. I'm in total shock. I can't process such large numbers. But I'm already rich. I already have enough money. I don't need more. I understand your point, but this was her will expressed in testament. She wanted you to have financial security for the rest of your life. Besides, she left a specific clause. What clause? 50% of what you inherit must be used in social projects aimed at single mothers and children in vulnerable situations. She wanted your story of having been helped when you needed to repeat for other people. This information moves me deeply because it shows my biological mother, even from afar, followed my transformation and wanted to contribute to the work I do. I accept the inheritance, doctor, and will honor her request. Great, I'll provide all necessary documentation for the transfer. The process takes about 3 months, but soon you'll have access to everything. Before I leave, can I ask something? Sure, you can ask. Do you have a photo of her, anything I can see? I do, yes. One moment. He opens a drawer and takes out a picture frame with a photo of a woman about 50 years old, smiling. This photo was taken 2 years before she discovered the illness. She asked me to show it to you in case you appeared. I grab the picture frame and look attentively at the photo. She's beautiful. Has light eyes, brown hair, a sad smile, even trying to seem happy. I see my face in hers, the same eyes, the same nose shape. She looks like me, or I look like her. I feel a strange connection with that woman I never knew, who conceived me, but didn't raise me, who loved me from afar. Her whole life. Can I keep this photo? Of course it's yours. I put the photo away carefully, thank Dr. Robert, and leave the office still in shock. On the way home, I call Rodrigo, telling him everything I discovered. Man, you won't believe what happened. What was it, bro? I discovered who my biological mother was. She died 3 months ago and left me an inheritance of 150 million. 150 million, Lucas. This is crazy, I know, man. I'm still in shock processing. And there's more. She left an emotional letter telling why she gave me up for adoption. Wow, bro, that's very heavy. It's too much. I don't know how to feel about all this. You gonna tell Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire? I will, yes, they're my family, they deserve to know. That night, I go to dinner at the grandparents' house as I do every week. I tell everything that happened. Show my biological mother's photo, read the letter to them. Mrs. Claire cries while listening. Mr. Manuel gets emotional too. This woman loved you her whole life, Lucas. She did what she thought best for you at the time. I know that, Mr. Manuel. But it hurts knowing I'll never be able to thank her for having given me life. You can thank by doing what she asked. Use the money to help other mothers and children. Mrs. Claire speaks with wisdom. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'll create the biggest single mother support foundation in America. In the following 3 months, while the estate process runs, I plan in the smallest details how the foundation will be. Together with Rodrigo Martha and a team of professionals specialized in nonprofit sector. We set up the structure. We decide to call it Helen Foundation in honor of my biological mother. The goal is to help single mothers in vulnerable situations, offering temporary housing, professional course daycare for children, psychological support, financial aid. We want to give them everything my mother didn't have when she was pregnant with me. When I finally receive the entire inheritance transferred to my account, I invest $80 million in the foundation. With this amount, we manage to buy a huge building downtown, renovate it completely, create 50 equipped apartments. We set up a daycare with capacity for 100 children. We build classrooms for professional courses. We hire psychologists, social workers, teachers, nutritionists. The foundation becomes a national reference. In the first year, we served 230 mothers with their children. Of those 230, 182 got permanent jobs and left the vulnerable situation. The foundation's story and the unexpected inheritance becomes a 1-hour documentary I produce for the channel. I tell everything from the lawyer's call to the foundation's opening. I show my mother's letter, I read it to camera crying. I show her photo, talk about the void of never having known her, but also about gratitude for her having given me life, and now the means to help thousands of people. The documentary goes viral, internationally reaches 50 million views in 2 weeks. I'm invited to give interviews on national and international TV shows. The story moves the entire world. 1 year after the foundation opened, I get an email from a woman named Carla saying she was helped by the foundation and wants to meet me personally to thank. I schedule a meeting with her at a cafe near the foundation headquarters. When she arrives, I see a woman about 30 years old, well-dressed, smiling, accompanied by a girl about 5 years old. "Hi Lucas, nice to meet you. I'm Carla, and this is my daughter Julia. Nice to meet you." "Carla, please sit." She sits with her daughter on her lap, all proud. "I wanted to thank you personally for having changed my life," she starts. "You don't need to thank, the foundation exists for that. I need to. Yes, you don't know what it means to have someone believing in you when you don't believe anymore. Tell your story if you want." She takes a deep breath. "I got pregnant at 24. The father of Julia abandoned me when he found out about the pregnancy. My parents were very strict. They kicked me out of the house, said I had brought shame to the family. I was completely alone, without money, without house, without anything." Her story reminds me a lot of my biological mother's. I had Julia living in a shelter. I spent her first 3 years jumping from job to job, barely able to pay rent for a tiny room. Many nights I went to sleep without eating to be able to give her food. There were days I thought about giving up on everything. Thought I wouldn't make it. Until a social worker told me about Helen Foundation. I came to check it out. Thought it was a dream, that places like that didn't exist. They accepted me. Gave me an equipped apartment, put Julia in daycare, enrolled me in an administrative assistant course. She continues telling with tears of gratitude. "In 6 months I got a job at a good company earning $3,500 per month. I managed to rent a small but decent apartment for me and Julia. Today I'm stable, working, growing in the company. My daughter is well fed, studying at a good school. All this because of the foundation, because of you, because of my mother who left this legacy I correct." She looks at Helen's photo I show on my phone. She must have been an incredible woman. She was. And she went through exactly what you went through. That's why she wanted so much to help other mothers. Carla hugs me, crying with emotion. "Thank you, thank you, thank you for existing." I hug her back, moved too. "You're the one who deserves congratulations for having fought so much for your daughter," little Julia, who was quiet, asks, "Uncle, are you the man from the video my mom watches?" "I am, yes, little one. You're nice. My mom said you saved us." "Actually, it was your mom who saved you because she never gave up." The girl smiles and gives me a drawing she had made. "It's for you, Uncle. I drew you with a heart because you have a big heart." I grab the drawing, totally moved. It's a stick figure with a huge red heart on the chest, written "Thank you, Uncle Lucas" below. "I'll keep this drawing forever, little one. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Uncle." I say goodbye to them, knowing stories like Carla's are the true meaning of everything I do. It's not about views. It's not about money. It's about transforming lives, giving hope, creating opportunities. That night at home alone, I look at Julia's drawing and my mother Helen's photo, and finally make peace with the past. "Mom, I never knew you, but I thank you for everything. Thank you for having given me life even in the most difficult conditions. Thank you for having followed me from afar all these years. Thank you for this incredible legacy you left me. I promise to honor your memory, helping as many people as I can. I promise your story and your sacrifice won't be in vain. Rest in peace knowing you made a difference in the lives of thousands of mothers and children. I love you, Mom, wherever you are. I grab her photo and put it in a beautiful picture frame on top of the office desk next to the photos of Mr. Manuel, Mrs. Claire, Rodrigo, and Martha, my chosen family, my heart family. 5 years after that day, I gave shelter to 2 elderly people on the street. My life is a complete blessing. I'm 35 years old. My channel has 40 million subscribers. The Second Chance Project has helped over 3,000 people get off the streets. The Fresh Start Foundation serves 10,000 families monthly. Helen Foundation has helped 3,500 single mothers and continues growing. Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire are 80 years old, healthy, surrounded by love from grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Rodrigo has 2 children now and works with me directing all documentaries. Martha became executive director of the 3 foundations, earning $20,000 monthly. Her children graduated and are doing well. I'm sitting on my house porch, which is no longer that ostentatious mansion, but a comfortable house in a simple condo, watching the sunset, thinking about the whole journey I traveled. From selfish YouTuber who exploited others' misery, to a man who dedicates his life to making a difference. Everything changed because one day I fired my housekeeper and she unintentionally gave me the greatest life lesson. Everything changed because 2 elderly people on the street taught me about dignity. Everything changed because a mother I never knew loved me from afar and left me a legacy of love. The phone rings. It's Mr. Manuel. Hi, Mr. Manuel, how are you? All great. Lucas just calling to remind about Sunday dinner. There's barbecue here at home. I'll be there for sure. Great, Claire's making that side dish you love. Can't wait. I love you, son. I love you too. Mr. Manuel. See you Sunday. I hang up with a warm heart because being called son by him is one of my life's greatest honors. He and Mrs. Claire are the parents destiny gave me when I least expected. They're living proof that family isn't just blood. It's love. It's choice. It's presence. I close my eyes and thank God for everything I lived, for all lessons learned, for all people who crossed my path. I especially thank the 2 elderly people who one day refused my fake challenge, and with that made me see who I really was. I thank Martha, who had courage to confront me even being an employee. I thank Rodrigo, who was always by my side even in the most difficult moments. I thank Helen, my biological mother, who loved me the only way she knew. I thank for each person I've helped and for each person who helped me be better. And so truly ends the most incredible transformation story I ever lived. The story of how I discovered life's true purpose isn't accumulating wealth but distributing love. It's not being famous but being useful. It's not having millions of followers but touching millions of hearts. I learned that in the end what remains isn't how much money you have in the account, but how many lives you changed for the better. It's not the size of your house but the size of your heart. It's not how many people know your name but how many people you helped rebuild their dreams. This is true wealth, the only one that really matters, the only one you take when you leave. And thanks to 2 elderly people on the street who could have been invisible but chose to be unforgettable. I learned this in the most beautiful way possible. Living, transforming, evolving, loving. This is my story. This is my journey. And if it inspired you in any way, then everything was worth it. Because the greatest legacy we can leave is the example of a life well lived on behalf of others. But there's one last chapter of this story I need to tell to close with a golden key: everything that happened. It happened 2 years after Helen Foundation opened, when I already thought I had seen everything life could show me. It was on a sunny Saturday morning when the building doorman where the foundation headquarters is called me, saying there was an elderly woman at reception asking to speak with me urgently. I was at home, but went there because something in the doorman's voice indicated it was important. When I arrive, I see a lady about 75 years old, very well dressed in designer clothes, white hair, perfectly arranged expensive jewelry, sitting in reception with a leather briefcase in her hand. "Good morning, ma'am. I'm Lucas. The doorman said you wanted to speak with me." She gets up with difficulty, supported by an expensive cane. "Good morning, Lucas. My name is Margaret Wilson. I really need to talk to you. It's about something extremely important related to Helen Martinez. I'm surprised by the mention of my mother's name. You knew my mother." "I did, yes. And very well. We were friends for over 40 years since adolescence. Come upstairs to my office. Let's talk with more privacy. She agrees, and we go up to the 6th floor where my office is at the foundation. You can sit, Mrs. Margaret, make yourself comfortable. She sits with some difficulty. Thank you, Lucas. I know you must be wondering why I came here after so long. I am, yes, quite curious. I came here because I made a promise to Helen before she died, and I need to keep that promise. What promise was that? She made me promise that if one day you created this foundation in her memory, I would come tell you the whole truth about what really happened 35 years ago when she gave you up for adoption. I get tense, because I thought I already knew the whole story. The letter she left doesn't tell everything. Mrs. Margaret opens the leather briefcase and takes out several old photos. These are photos from the time Helen got pregnant with you. I grab the photos and see my young mother with pregnant belly smiling and some crying in others. She was so young, only 18. She was practically a child. Yes, in this photo here she's with your biological father, Carlos. I look attentively at the photo of a young, handsome guy about 20 years old hugging my pregnant mother. They loved each other very much. They did, yes. They were engaged, were gonna get married as soon as you were born. But he died in the work accident. No, Lucas, he didn't die. That's the part of the story Helen never told you because she didn't want you to hate her. I get confused, not understanding. What do you mean he didn't die? Carlos is alive to this day, lives here in Los Angeles. He's 75 years old. He's a successful businessman, owner of a supermarket chain. But the letter said he died before I was born. Helen lied in the letter because she was ashamed to tell you the truth. What truth, Mrs. Margaret, for God's sake, tell me now. The truth is, when Helen told Carlos she was pregnant, he got scared of responsibility. They were very young. He had plans to study abroad, make a career. He told Helen she should abort. She refused, said she was going to have the baby with him, or without him. Carlos disappeared, left her completely alone. Her parents kicked her out, as you already know. Helen spent the entire pregnancy alone, living in shelters, going through terrible needs. When you were born, she tried to raise you alone for a few months, but couldn't even feed herself properly, much less feed a baby. It was the most difficult decision of her life to give you up for adoption. But she did it because she loved you and wanted the best for you. After that, she dedicated her whole life to building a successful career to prove to the world and to herself she was capable. I'm processing all that with anger growing inside me. So my biological father abandoned me before I was even born. Exactly. And where is he now? He lives in a luxury condo in Beverly Hills, married to a businesswoman, has 3 legitimate children he raised in complete comfort. While my mother went through needs, gave me up for adoption, and carried that weight her whole life. It was exactly that. Yes. Why did Helen never tell anyone? Why did she protect this man? Because she never wanted you to grow up with hate in your heart. She preferred you thought he had died than know he voluntarily abandoned you. She was too good for this world. Mrs. Margaret continues. But there's one more thing you need to know, Lucas. What else could there be? 3 years ago, when Helen discovered she had terminal cancer, she looked for Carlos. After 32 years without any contact, she went to his office, told him she had a son of his that she had given up for adoption, said she was dying, and wanted him to know he had a son in the world. You know what he did? What, tell me? He sent her away from the office. Said that was her problem, not his. Said he had a legitimate family and didn't want confusion. He kicked her out of the office as if she were a beggar asking for alms. I feel a rage I've never felt in my life rising like volcano lava. This man is a monster. How can someone be so cold? Helen came home crying after that meeting. It was the last time she tried to make contact with him. She died months later without ever talking about it again. But before dying, she made me promise 2 things. What promises? First, that I'd only tell you this story if you showed having good enough character to deserve knowing the truth. Second, that if you decided to look for your biological father, I'd give you this envelope. She hands me a sealed envelope with my name written on the front in Helen's handwriting. What's inside, I ask. I don't know. Never opened it because she asked not to open it. It's for you to read when you're prepared. I grab the envelope with trembling hands. Thank you for coming here to tell me all this, Mrs. Margaret. I know it wasn't easy. It was a promise I made to my best friend. I couldn't fail to keep it. Would you like coffee, water, something? No, thank you. I need to leave. My driver is waiting. Before leaving. Can I give you advice? Sure, you can speak. Don't look for your biological father expecting him to be the man you'd like him to be. He hasn't changed. He's still the same selfish person from 35 years ago. Some people never evolve. Lucas, never learn. I appreciate the advice. I'll think a lot before doing anything. After Mrs. Margaret leaves, I stay alone in the office holding the sealed envelope. Should I open it now or wait? I decide to open it because I need to know what my mother wanted to tell me. I tear the seal carefully and take out a handwritten letter. I start reading with a tight heart. My dear Lucas, if you're reading this second letter, it means Margaret kept her promise and told you the whole truth about your biological father. I know you must be feeling anger and disappointment, and you have every right to feel that. But don't let hate consume your heart like it almost consumed mine. I continue reading. For many years I hated Carlos for having abandoned me, for having fled from responsibility. That hate did me a lot of harm, prevented me from being happy in other relationships, made me a bitter person. I could only overcome when I forgave him, not because he deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved peace. You have two choices now. You can carry this hate and let it destroy you inside, or you can forgive and move forward. If you decide to look for him, do it with an open heart, without expectations, without demands. Maybe he changed, maybe not, but at least you'll have done your part. The letter ends like this: don't do this for him, do it for yourself. Because holding resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other to die. You're a good man, Lucas. I saw that in all your videos and all the work you do. Don't let your biological father's story change who you are. Always be that incredible person you became. With all my eternal love, Helen. I finish reading with tears falling because even after death my mother continues teaching me valuable lessons. She was right. Holding hate would only hurt me, wouldn't change anything from the past. During a week I think a lot about what to do. I talk to Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire about the situation. They advise me to look for my biological father, not to demand anything but to have closure. Mr. Manuel speaks with wisdom. Lucas, you need to face this man eye to eye to understand the abandonment had nothing to do with you. It had to do with his cowardice. Children always think they were abandoned because they did something wrong. But it's not like that. You were abandoned because he didn't have courage to be a man to take responsibility, Mrs. Claire adds. And maybe it's time for you to forgive, not for him, but for yourself, to free yourself from this weight you didn't even know you were carrying. I decide I'm going to look for my biological father. I ask Rodrigo to research about him. He finds quickly because Carlos Santos is a public figure, owner of the Santos & Sons supermarket chain with 12 stores in Los Angeles. There are photos of him at social events, always very well dressed next to his elegant wife and 3 successful adult children. I see he built the family he refused to have with me. I feel a pang of pain, but breathe deeply and remember my mother's words about forgiveness. I get his office address, which is in a commercial building on Wilshire Boulevard. I schedule a meeting, passing myself off as a journalist, doing an article about successful businessmen. On the scheduled day, I arrive at the Wilshire building in an elegant suit. I go up to the 20th floor where the supermarket chain office is. The receptionist receives me. Good morning. I have a meeting with Mr. Carlos Santos. Your name, please. Lucas Miller. I came to do an interview for an article. One moment, I'll let him know. She calls the internal line. Mr. Santos, journalist Lucas Miller has arrived. You can send him in. I'm led to a huge room with panoramic city view, expensive furniture, art paintings on the walls. Carlos Santos is sitting behind a glass desk working on the computer. When he lifts his face to greet me, I see my own face 30 years older. We're incredibly alike. Same eyes, same nose, same face shape. Mr. Lucas, welcome, please sit, he says, without recognizing me because he's never seen me in his life. I sit, maintaining composure. Thank you, Mr. Carlos, for receiving me. No problem. It's always good to talk about my trajectory. Actually, I didn't come to do an interview. He frowns, confused. What do you mean, then? Why did you lie to my secretary? Because it was the only way to get to speak with you. Explain yourself. Who are you? My name really is Lucas Miller. I'm Helen Martinez's son. His face goes white. He gets up from the chair abruptly. What do you want from me? I just want to talk, that's all. He gets nervous, walking from side to side. How did you find me? It wasn't hard, you're a public figure. Look, I don't know what your mother told you, but I have nothing to do with you. She told me you abandoned her pregnant, that you disappeared when she needed you most. That was over 30 years ago. It doesn't matter anymore. It matters, yes, because you're my biological father. Whether you accept it or not, legally I have no obligation to you. I know that I didn't come here to demand anything. Then what do you want? I came here to look you in the eyes and tell you I forgive you. He stops walking and looks at me surprised. Forgive me for what? For having abandoned me before I was even born, for having fled from responsibility, for having sent my mother away when she looked for you knowing she was dying. He lowers his gaze, ashamed. Your mother told you about that day. She didn't need to tell, another person told me. I did what I thought was best at the time, best for who certainly wasn't for your son. He stays silent. I continue speaking. My mother went through terrible needs during pregnancy, gave me up for adoption because she had no conditions to raise me. Meanwhile, you built a comfortable life. A beautiful family, never looked back, never wondered if I was alive, if I was okay. Carlos sits back down, seems to have aged 10 years in those minutes. Look, I'm not a perfect man, I made mistakes. Mistakes I repeat with irony. Abandoning a child isn't a mistake, it's cowardice. He doesn't retort because he knows it's true. But you know what I came here to tell you, that despite everything I forgive you. Not because you deserve forgiveness, but because I deserve peace. I won't carry hate of you for the rest of my life. You've already caused me enough damage, I won't let you cause more. I get up to leave. Before leaving, I turn to him. I just want you to know one thing. My mother Helen was the most incredible person who ever existed. She loved me from afar. Her whole life built an empire, left a beautiful legacy of love and solidarity. She never spoke badly of you, never taught me to hate you. She preferred I thought you had died than know you had abandoned me. That's unconditional love. Something you'll never understand because you only think about yourself. I leave the room, slamming the door, leaving him there alone with his guilty conscience. In the elevator going down, I feel lighter, as if a gigantic weight had come off my shoulders. I call Rodrigo. So bro, how did it go? It was liberating, man. I found him, said what I had to say, and forgave. How are you feeling? I feel at peace. Finally, I have closure. I'm happy for you, bro. Thank you for always being here with me. I always will be, brother. That night I sleep peacefully for the first time in weeks, knowing I did the right thing. In the following days I go back to normal routine, continue foundation work, film videos for the channel, spend time with my chosen family. 2 weeks later I get an unexpected email from the law firm representing Carlos Santos. The email says Carlos wants to make a substantial donation to Helen Foundation as a form of reparation for past mistakes. I read that and feel like refusing immediately. My pride doesn't want to accept anything from him. But then I remember all the mothers and children the foundation helps and realize I can't let my pride harm them. I call the lawyer to understand better. Hello, Mr. Miller. Yes, you can speak, Mr. Carlos Santos would like to make a donation of $5 million to Helen Foundation. $5 million. Yes, he said he'd like to contribute to the social work you do. This money isn't for me, it's for the mothers and children who need it. Exactly. That's why he wants to donate. I breathe deeply, thinking, okay, I accept the donation, but I want to make clear, I'm not accepting it for him. I'm accepting it for the people I'm gonna help with this money, Mr. Carlos understands perfectly. The $5 million are deposited in the foundation account the following week. I use every cent to expand service. We manage to open another unit in another state. We start serving 300 more families monthly. 1 year after that tense meeting with my biological father, I'm giving an interview on a famous podcast telling my whole story from the day I gave shelter to the elderly to the meeting with Carlos. The host asks, Lucas, after everything you went through, what was the biggest lesson you learned? The biggest lesson was that forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about yourself. When I forgave my biological father, I didn't do it because he deserved it. I did it because I deserved peace. Carrying hate, resentment, bitterness is like drinking poison, expecting the other to die. It only hurts you, only consumes you, only prevents you from being happy. And about your biological mother. What would you say to her if you could? I'd say thank you for having loved me the only way you could. Thank you for having given me life even in the most difficult conditions. Thank you for the incredible legacy you left. And I'd say I became the man she always dreamed I'd be, a man who uses his resources to help others, who chooses love instead of hate, generosity instead of selfishness. The podcast goes viral, reaches 15 million views. People from all over the world comment about how they were inspired by the story. I get messages from people who were also adopted, from people who lost parents, from people who hold grudges about something from the past, all saying my story helped them forgive, move forward, find peace. I realize by sharing my vulnerability, by showing my wounds, I help other people heal theirs. This is the true power of vulnerability, of honesty, of transparency. Today, almost 7 years after that day, I gave shelter to 2 elderly people on the street. I live a full life of purpose, of meaning. I no longer have that ostentatious mansion, but I have a comfortable house where I'm happy. I no longer drive a Lamborghini, but I have a simple car that takes me where I need. I no longer wear designer clothes, but I dress well in comfortable clothes. I learned true luxury isn't in material things. It's in peace of mind, in the ability to sleep peacefully, knowing you did good. True luxury is having a family that loves you, even not being blood. It's having a purpose bigger than yourself. It's knowing your life matters because you made a difference in other people's lives. The Second Chance Project has gotten over 5,000 people off the streets. The Fresh Start Foundation serves 20,000 families monthly. Helen Foundation has helped 3,500 single mothers. My channel has 50 million subscribers, but I no longer make empty entertainment videos. I make documentaries that transform lives, that inspire change. Mr. Manuel and Mrs. Claire are 83 years old, still healthy, happy. They're the best grandparents anyone could have. Rodrigo has 3 children now. One of them carries the name Helen, in honor of my mother. Martha is executive director of the foundations, earns $40,000 per month, has her own house. Good car, sees her children graduated and successful. And I have peace, real peace. That peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances, that comes from inside the heart. I know who I am. I know my purpose. I know life has meaning. I look back at the 28-year-old boy who was selfish, empty, obsessed with views and money, and almost don't recognize that person. I look at the 37-year-old man I am today and feel proud of the journey I traveled, of the lessons I learned, of the people I helped. And it all started because 2 elderly people on the street refused to participate in my fake video. It all started because a housekeeper had courage to confront me. It all started because I decided to choose the right path instead of the easy path. This is my story of redemption, of transformation, of unconditional love. And if it inspired you in any way, if it made you rethink your choices, if it motivated you to do good, then my purpose was fulfilled, because in the end, what matters isn't how long you lived, but how you lived that time. It's not how much you accumulated, but how much you shared. It's not how many people know your name, but how many people you helped rebuild their lives. This is the true measure of success. The only one that really counts, the only one that remains when everything else disappears. And I thank every day for having learned this while I still had time to make a difference. While I still had time to be the change I wanted to see in the world. While I still had time to honor my mother's legacy and my heart grandparents' legacy. This is my story, this is my truth, and I share it, hoping it inspires others to follow the path of love, of forgiveness, of generosity. Because the world desperately needs more people willing to do good without expecting recognition. People willing to forgive even when it hurts. People willing to love even when it's not easy. Be those people, be the change, be the good the world so much needs.